All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving into some seriously wild theories about the sun. You know, that big, bright thing in the sky that we all take for granted.
Yeah, the one that's supposed to be a giant nuclear furnace, right?
Exactly. But what if, and just hear me out on this, what if the sun isn't what we think it is at all?
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
We're going to be looking at some really out there ideas, like the possibility that the sun is actually powered by electricity, not nuclear fusion.
An electric sun. I've had whispers of that theory.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're also going to dig into ancient Mesopotamian myths, wartime research into things like, get this, the Philadelphia experiment and the Nazi bell.
Whoa, slow down. Those are some seriously fringe topics. Are we talking about conspiracy theories here?
Oh, we're going there. But hey, that's what makes these deep dives so fun. We're going to look at all the evidence, even the stuff that sounds crazy, and see if we can piece together a new understanding of the sun and our place in the cosmos.
You know, you're right. It's easy to dismiss these fringe ideas, but sometimes the craziest theories turn out to be true.
Exactly. Think about Galileo. Everyone thought he was nuts for saying the Earth revolved around the sun. And look how that turned out.
True enough. So where do we start with this electric sun theory?
Well, one of the sources I dug into, Secrets of the Unified Field, talks about this mind-bending concept called the torsion tensor. It's like a twist in space-time that could connect electromagnetism and gravity.
Torsion tensor. Okay, that sounds pretty complex. I'm familiar with Einstein's unified field theory, but this is taking it a step further.
Right, and the book claims that both the US and Nazi Germany were researching torsion during World War II, like for weapons and stuff.
Whoa, hold on, the Nazis were researching this. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's wild. Supposedly, they were trying to use torsion for things like the Philadelphia experiment, where they supposedly made a Navy destroyer invisible, and the Nazi bell, this rumored anti-gravity device.
Okay, now that sounds like we're wading into some deep conspiracy territory.
Maybe, maybe not. But even if those specific stories are a bit far-fetched, the fact that torsion was being researched at all raises some interesting questions.
I agree. Like, what if torsion is more than just a theoretical concept? What if it plays a role in how consciousness interacts with the physical world?
Whoa, dude, you're blowing my mind here.
Well, it's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it? And it leads us to another mind-bending concept, the electric universe model.
All right, let's talk about that. This is the idea that the sun isn't a nuclear furnace at all, but a giant electrical discharge powered by currents flowing through space, right?
You got it. It's like the sun is plugged into a cosmic power grid.
Whoa, that's insane. But if that's true, it would totally change our understanding of how stars work, like how long they can last.
Absolutely. The standard model of stellar evolution has some serious problems. It struggles to explain things like why the sun's atmosphere, the corona, is millions of degrees hotter than its surface.
Right, that's the temperature minimum. It doesn't make sense if the sun's just a giant bowl of burning gas.
Exactly. But the electric sun model actually predicts this temperature difference. The idea is that the sun is embedded in this larger galactic circuit, and the corona gets heated by the electrical currents flowing around it.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together. We've got potentially suppressed wartime research into unified field theory, an electric sun powered by cosmic currents, and wait, where do exploding planets fit into all of this?
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really crazy. One of the sources, the Cosmic War, suggests that our solar system used to have more planets that might have exploded.
Exploded planets, like blown to smithereens.
That's the idea, and the source claims these explosions weren't natural events. They were caused by ancient cosmic wars fought with weapons of unimaginable power.
Ancient cosmic wars.
Yeah.
Weapons of unimaginable power. You're telling me we're living in a real-life Star Wars saga.
It's a wild theory, I know, but the source uses some interesting evidence. Like, think about the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter.
Yeah, most scientists think it's the remnants of a planet that broke apart.
Right, but what if it was deliberately destroyed? What if it's a battlefield from an ancient war? The source also points to the strange features of Mars, like those massive canyons, as potential scars from these battles.
Whoa, so we've got exploded planets, ancient wars, a sun that might be powered by electricity. Yeah, this is getting pretty intense.
It is, but there's more. Remember those ancient Mesopotamian myths we talked about? The tablets of destiny?
Yeah, those crystal things that supposedly held unimaginable power. like the power to control the very fabric of reality.
Right. The source connects those myths to the idea of advanced technology, technology that could manipulate energy on a cosmic scale.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown. Exploding planets, ancient wars, advanced technology, and a sun that's more like a giant light bulb than a furnace. I don't even know what to believe anymore.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? We're challenging our assumptions, exploring the boundaries of what we think we know, and opening ourselves up to new possibilities.
I guess you're right. It's definitely a wild ride.
So we ended last time talking about some pretty out there stuff.
Yeah, exploding planets, ancient wars. It's a lot to process.
It is, but I think it's important to remember that we're trying to piece together a new understanding of the universe.
Right. And to do that, we have to be open to ideas that challenge the mainstream narrative.
Exactly, like the electric sun model. We were just starting to get into that.
Yeah, okay, so remind me, how does that work again? I mean, how can the sun be powered by electricity? Doesn't it need to burn fuel, like hydrogen, to create all that energy?
Well, that's what the standard model of astrophysics tells us. But the electric universe model offers a different perspective.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about it this way. Imagine the sun as a giant light bulb.
Okay.
The filament in the light bulb glows because electricity is flowing through it.
Right, so you're saying the sun is like a giant filament.
In a way, yes. The idea is that the sun is embedded in this vast network of electrical currents that flow through space.
What, like a cosmic power grid?
Exactly. These currents are called Birkeland currents, and they were first proposed by a Norwegian scientist named Christian Birkeland back in the early 1900s.
Birkeland currents. Okay, I've heard of those. They cause the auroras, right?
That's right. When charged particles from the sun, carried by the solar wind, interact with Earth's magnetic field, they create these beautiful displays of light in the sky.
Right. The northern lights. So you're saying these same currents that cause the auroras could also be powering the sun.
Precisely. The idea is that the sun is constantly drawing energy from these Birkeland currents, converting it into light and heat.
But how do we know these Birkeland currents actually exist? They're invisible, right?
Well, we can't see them directly, but we can detect them through their magnetic fields.
Oh,
And there's been a lot of evidence gathered over the years that supports their existence. Space probes have detected them around Earth, other planets, and even in interstellar space.
So it's not just a theory, there's actual data to back it up.
Right, there's a growing body of evidence that suggests these currents are real and that they play a significant role in shaping the universe.
Okay, so let's say these Birkeland currents do exist,
Yeah.
and they are powering the sun. How does that explain some of the things we see on the sun, like those massive solar flares?
Well, just like any electrical circuit, these cosmic currents can fluctuate. And when they do, it can cause all sorts of dramatic events on the sun.
Like a surge of electricity causing a power outage.
Kind of, yeah. These fluctuations can trigger solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and other powerful events that release enormous amounts of energy.
Wow, okay, so instead of the sun being this stable, predictable star, it's actually constantly responding to changes in these cosmic electrical currents.
Exactly. And those changes can have real consequences for us here on Earth.
Oh yeah, I remember reading about how solar flares can disrupt radio communications and even damage satellites.
That's right. They can also create those beautiful auroras we were talking about earlier, but in extreme cases, they can cause power outages and other disruptions to our technology.
Okay, so maybe cosmic power grid isn't such a great idea after all. But this whole idea of the sun being electrical raises another question for me. If the sun is a giant electrical discharge, and life on Earth is ultimately powered by the sun, does that mean life itself could be electrical in nature?
That's a fascinating question, and it's one that scientists are only beginning to explore.
So you're saying that the spark of life might be literal, that our consciousness could be like a tiny version of the electrical energy that powers the sun?
It's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it?
It is. But how would that even work?
Well, we know that our brains are complex electrical circuits. Our thoughts, emotions, and movements are all controlled by electrical impulses.
Right.
And there's a growing body of research suggesting that electricity plays a much larger role in biological processes than we previously thought.
Like how?
Well, for example, some studies have shown that electrical fields can influence cell growth and even wound healing.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is. And some researchers believe that these electrical fields might even play a role in consciousness itself.
Okay, now we're really getting into the deep end here. So you're saying that our consciousness could be like a tiny version of the electrical energy that powers the sun.
It's a possibility. It's like we're all little sparks of the same cosmic energy that animates the entire universe.
Whoa, that's pretty profound. I need a minute to let that sink in. All right, I'm back with you. I think I can handle a little more mind-blowing information.
All right, good. So we've talked about the sun, we've talked about life, but there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to discuss.
Okay, hit me with it.
Planet X.
Oh, yeah. The elusive Planet X, also known as Nibiru. We touched on this earlier, but I'm still not entirely convinced it's a real thing.
Well, there's a lot of evidence that suggests it could be.
Like what?
Remember those gravitational anomalies we talked about?
Yeah, like the Kuiper Cliff?
Exactly. That sudden drop-off in the density of objects beyond Pluto's orbit. Some researchers believe that this could be caused by the gravitational pull of a large, unseen object.
So, like a planet that's too far away to see directly, but we can detect its gravity?
Right. And some believe that this hidden planet could be a brown dwarf.
A brown dwarf. What's that?
It's kind of like a failed star. It's bigger than a planet, but smaller than a star, and it doesn't emit much light, so it's very difficult to detect.
Okay, so we've got these gravitational anomalies and this theory about a brown dwarf lurking in the outer reaches of our solar system. How do we know it's not just a coincidence?
Well, there's also the strange orbit of Sedna, a dwarf planet discovered in 2003.
Oh yeah, Sedna. What's so strange about its orbit?
It's highly elliptical, which means it's stretched out like a long oval, and it takes over 11,000 years for Sedna to complete one orbit around the sun.
Whoa, that's a long time.
It is, and some astronomers believe that Sedna's unusual orbit could be explained by the gravitational influence of a large, unseen object like a brown dwarf.
So we've got gravitational anomalies, a weirdly orbiting dwarf planet, and the possibility of a hidden brown dwarf. Is that enough to convince the scientific community that Planet X is real?
It's starting to sway some of them. In recent years, several mainstream astronomers have begun to openly speculate about the existence of a large, undiscovered planet in our solar system.
Wow, really? That's a big shift from just dismissing it as a fringe theory.
It is, and it shows that the scientific community is starting to take these ideas more seriously.
Okay, so let's say, for the sake of argument, that Planet X, this brown dwarf, is out there. What does it mean for us here on Earth?
That's where things get a little unsettling.
All right, so last time we were talking about Planet X and how it might be a brown dwarf, this like failed star lurking in the outer solar system.
Yeah, it's definitely a mind-bending concept. And the source, the dark star, ties this into the idea of cyclical catastrophes on Earth.
Oh, right, like mass extinctions and ice ages. They think this brown dwarf, this dark star, could be causing them.
Right. The idea is that its orbit could disrupt the solar system, like knocking comets out of the Oort cloud and sending them hurtling towards Earth.
So like a cosmic billiard ball, just wreaking havoc. Yikes.
It's a pretty unsettling thought. But it's not just comets. The source also talks about how the dark star's magnetic field could interact with Earth's, causing all sorts of disruptions.
Like what? Give me the worst case scenario.
Well, it could trigger earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, maybe even pole shifts. Basically, it could really mess with our planet's stability.
Okay, that's officially terrifying. But even if this Planet X is out there, it's probably on a really long orbit, right? So we're probably safe for now.
That's what most researchers think. But even if we're not in immediate danger, it's still a pretty sobering thought.
It is. It makes you realize how vulnerable we are to forces beyond our control.
Exactly. And it highlights the importance of understanding these cosmic cycles and how they might affect our future.
Right. Okay, well, moving on from the doom and gloom, I wanted to circle back to those ancient Mesopotamian myths we've been talking about.
Oh yeah, the tablets of destiny, those crystal-like devices that supposedly held incredible power.
Yeah, those. They've been popping up throughout our conversation, and I'm really curious to hear your take on them.
Well, the source, the cosmic war, connects them to some pretty fascinating scientific ideas.
Like what? Tell me everything.
It suggests that they could represent a form of advanced technology based on scalar physics, which is a bit complex, but basically.
Okay, dumb it down for me.
All right, imagine a type of energy that can travel faster than light and even affect gravity.
Well, hold up. Faster than light. Isn't that impossible?
That's what Einstein's theory of relativity tells us, but some physicists believe that scalar waves, which are a type of longitudinal wave, might be able to bypass that speed limit.
Okay, I'm following so far. So these scalar waves, they could mess with gravity.
Potentially, yes. And the source suggests that the tablets of destiny might have been devices that could harness and manipulate this scalar energy.
So we're talking about a level of technology that's way beyond anything we can even comprehend today.
Exactly. And if the ancient Mesopotamians really did possess this technology, it would completely rewrite our understanding of history and human potential.
Right. I mean, we're talking about the power to control the fundamental forces of the universe.
Exactly. And that's why the source suggests that the wars between the gods described in these ancient myths might have been fought over control of this technology.
So these weren't just petty squabbles between deities. They were fighting over the ultimate power source.
That's what the source proposes. And it raises the possibility that the legacy of these ancient conflicts might still be with us today.
Whoa, okay, now you're really blowing my mind. What do you mean?
Well, what if the technology used in those wars, the technology of the Tablets of Destiny, is still out there somewhere?
Like hidden away in some secret vault? Or maybe buried under the sands of time?
Maybe. Or maybe it's been rediscovered and is being used by those who seek to control the world, or even the universe itself.
Okay, that's a pretty heavy thought. But it's also incredibly intriguing. It makes you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. What secrets are being kept from us?
It does, and it reminds us that there's still so much we don't know about our own history and the true nature of reality.
Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We started with a simple question about the sun, and we've ended up exploring everything from exploding planets to ancient wars to the very fabric of reality.
It's been quite a journey, and I hope it's left you with more questions than answers.
Absolutely, because that's what drives us to keep learning and exploring. Remember, the universe is full of mysteries, and the most important thing is to keep an open mind and never stop questioning.
Well said. And who knows? Maybe someday we'll unlock the secrets of the Tablets of Destiny and discover the true power that lies within us.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this mind-bending exploration. Until next time, keep looking up and keep those questions coming.